Welcome back. I'm coming through here and I'm gonna stain this floor, and I'm using stain. It's a penetrating stain, but it's also got a sealer in it. The reason why I'm doing that is because the floor is so rough. We need to get stain in the areas where there ain't no stain and then lock the floor down. But until we can get it locked down, we can't really do much with it. When you do this stuff, you want to make sure you get it up underneath the trim where the chute comes down, and then you got the floor right there. Make sure you get that edge real good, because when you step back and look, you'll see it. And this product is a product we used a while back. It's like stain and sealer on one. So it's one of those things that the thicker you put it on, the thicker it's going to be. But I did notice, like, the first time I did it, I put it on kind of thick. And man, it took 4 or 5 days for it to dry. But all we want to do with this is change the color. And we just want to put a little bit of tint to it. So the best thing you can do is cut it out. And then do the area, do the surface area. And if you notice, I'm not going out past this second piece of flooring, because I want to keep everything. I'm going to keep my cut line isolated to this one area. Anytime you get paint on your floor, you gotta strip that stuff up, because if you stain your top of latex, like if you got sprinkles over your floor from the paint that you just put on, and you stain your floor on top of it, the white sprinkles will stay white. When you stain on top of it, the white sprinkles stay white. Two floors like this, and you gotta run this floor into this floor. Always make sure you gotta weigh out too. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it through here, and I'm gonna stop it so that I can off this way, finish this floor. I'll be able to tie into this. want to do is get this right here, this little 2 inches or 3 inches, cover it up real nice. I want to get a good coat on it. And then I'll start stretching it. I started right there and went that way, and this is where I stopped at. But I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to drag it this way so I can go into that room. Keep everything in the same flow. Just like running a hardwood floor, you always got to start so you can take your hardwood through the doorways. It's always about which way you go to do that. But the hardwood's running this way too, so it makes it even better. And you don't want to go against the grating. Like you don't want to go across the grating when you're staying in. You want to go with the grating when you're staying in. Stain and wipe method. I'm going to stain it and then wipe it. What I'm going to do is take all the thickness off of it. Because like I said the last time we used this product, it took it days for it to dry because I put a coat on, like I put a coat down, and it's no different from putting a coat down on clear or anything else like that. Normally what this stuff does when you put it down, it usually swells up just a hair. And it was the first time using this new product. So when I did it, it swelled up and just took forever to dry. So we're gonna cut the dry time down by putting it on thinner. See, stains are different. Oil bases are different than latexes and stuff like that. Stains and stuff like that, there's a little bit of playing around that you can do with it, like just like latex. There's stuff that you can do with latex that you can't do with staining. And you gotta know your limitations on it. finish the floor and you're trying to put a decent coat on it, you use this rock as it really is, and you're trying to do that thickness. Making sure that you start on one end and then go where your back brushes into it. Really does help. Like right now, I'm scrubbing it in and wiping it off because I'm taking a rag and I'm wiping the extra off. But if you're using it for actual protection and stuff like that, like you're not putting a clear grate over top of this one, then you want to make sure that all your strokes are going the same way. You want to back brush it all one direction. You know, it's got a nice even flow. Everything looks solid. That's where you start having like this. Then you bring this into that. Then bring this into that. Then you bring this into that. putting it on to spread it, and then I'm gonna whip it out, so it's gonna turn out however it turns out. It's nice to have some of these latex gloves because man, and stuff gets on your hands and it kind of makes sure you have an upset stomach because once it gets in your pores, it'll give you an upset stomach, a headache. Sometimes I do furniture and I use stain like this. Like I'll sand it down and I'll put some gel stains over top of it to make it look like it's been old rustic and stuff like that. I get into working on furniture too. I haven't got to work on a set of cabinets in a while. I feel like it's coming up, so I'll show you guys some like really high-end detail work when I do stuff like that. And because usually stain work it's a whole different process. It's like mud in your house. It's like putting drywall up in your house. It's just a different process. What I do is I'm looking to make sure I get at least 5 to 6 of them boards at one time. That's how you make a lead wet. Stay ahead of what you're working on. Because this last board that I'm pushing right now, even if you gotta take time out and just hit that and just focus on that one area. And once it turns, like once you get it wet, you'll notice that's all you need. You just need to get it wet. You don't have to put a bunch of build to it. And there's some people think that you gotta have it like it's gotta be so thick and stuff like that. Like that's not the process we're using here. And here in a second, I'll show you the whole floor, how it's turned out. This is what we're looking for. And then we're gonna clear that. It's all about what it looks like. A little bit. Everybody knows stain water don't do nothing to stain lacquers, mineral spirits, none of that stuff. Once I get it worked down to a little area, then I'll start bringing it all one way, and then I'll bring that this way. This floor should have turned out pretty nice. There's white paint everywhere. I already cleaned it up once, but I'm supposed to be in a whole nother town right now. This is how you do an area. What I'll do is I'll walk this way, and then I'll do that little area there, and then I'll get it done in the middle, then I'll walk it into that room. That's how we do it without having to get stuck in between the wall or the floor. Just remember, you can only go as far as your arms reach. You can't do something farther out than what your arms can reach. And like as you're working with your rags, you'll realize that the stain that you're wiping up is also something that you can use somewhere else. So when you sit there doing stain up in your rags, just remember, like this one here's soap, this one ain't. So if I need to add a little bit extra stain to it, I grab this rag, wipe it, and then buff it back up with this one. See what I mean? So that's about what the stain is. I can use the stain as a wrap. I can use wrap as a stain. As I said, all we're trying to do is use color. You know, a lot of people prefer to use rags when they stain, but there's a difference in rags. When you got white rags are made for cleaning, like they're not made for nothing special. Now, a gray rag is made for staining. Whenever you use a white rag, if you ever notice when you cut one, the particles go everywhere. That's the fabrics and all that stuff, it just goes everywhere. That's going in the paint when you use them. So, if you stain, make sure you use your gray rags. There's a reason for it. There's a reason why they have gray and white rags. White rags are rags that you just use and throw away. A stain rag is different. Naturally, I'm using a white rag. Make sure you get around this register real good too. See how I just took that thickness out of it and just left a little bit of film on there? That's what we want. We want that film. That film is going to seal all this wood back up, stain the wood that needs stained, and then we're going to put a sealer over top of it. Even though this product that I'm using had a penetrating stain in it, it's got a sealer in it and it's got a finish in it. All we want to do is lock this stuff down because this stuff's so trash and it failed so bad. We basically got to lock this stuff down, and the best way of doing that is just putting a thin coat over top of it. And this is what I was talking about. Like this right here, this is where there's no sealer on it at all. This still has stain on it, like sealer. This doesn't. This is raw wood. This has no stain in it either. This does. If you notice, it's like a cedar. It's this color cedar. They clear it, where they stained it with cedar, and then they put clear finish sealer over top of it, and they put a sealer over top of that. Because you got stain, you got wiping stain, and you got a sealer, and then you got a finish. Them's the 3 steps in staining. Don't matter how you want to look at it, you always gotta, whenever you deal with stains, you gotta know, I gotta stain it with a wiping or a penetrating. Penetrating has a sealer in it. Wiping, you put it on, wipe it off, it's just stain. It don't have no additives in it, no hardeners. Now, when it says penetrating actually means it's got a sealer in it, but it still penetrates. So it's like in between a wiping and a sealer. But regardless, you still got to lock that down with the clear coat. This spot's so dry, it soaks it up. This is why people have a hard time dealing with stain works, because it gets really confusing when you try to like touch it up or come back and repair it 5 years later, 10 years later, whatever. It's why it's so hard to deal with, because it really is hard to deal with. What steps go where? Like you gotta start with a wiping or a penetrating, and you gotta put a sealer, and then a finish over top of that. Like you gotta know each step, and like depending on how much damage is there, like this in here, you gotta be good. You gotta start with a wiping, and then put the penetrating or the sealer over top of that, and then you gotta put your finish on top of that. There's 3 steps, but you gotta know like where the damage is, and that's how you judge it as far as like, what you gotta do to it. I think where everything starts getting real confusing is when they start talking about the different kinds of wood. See, you got like an early American, and then you got like a pine. No matter what you put on top of that pine, it's gonna show its natural color. But now you take that early American and put it on top of walnut, it's gonna be a whole different look. It's gonna be golder, it's gonna be black, it's gonna have tiger stripe stain, green, like it's gonna be phenomenal. But pine is a whole different wood. It'd be like trying to put an early American over top of a cedar, it'll turn orange. So you gotta watch what you do, like what things you put over top of some things. And I seen times we had to add green tint to our clear coat because the floor turned out too orange, or the trim turned out too orange, and we had to add green tint to it to tone it down and turn it blacker. Because it was so it was orange. Like that's cool if you like that stuff, but some people don't. They want a natural wood, or they want just something that they want to look solid. They want to look like they bought it that way, not necessarily some factory finished thing that you gotta have some scientists to work on, but I think that's why people get really weird when it comes to staining. Because I used to work with a guy, he used to call himself a stain guy, like that's all he did was stain work. But he was on the whole next level. He was on the next level when it comes to staining. Like he knew everything there is to know about it. He knew everything. But he did it for 20 some years, so he had a lot of experience in repairs. Like that's what when you get a painter, you're not getting this. You're not getting a painter, you're getting his years of experience. And when painters lie to homeowners, and homeowners don't really know what they're getting themselves into, you can really get your house tore up. And a painter will tell you, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, there's guys that we work with that will say, oh yeah, I can stain that. They don't know that there's things that you can't do. They don't know stuff like that. They think, they go to the store, buy some stain, whip it up, and stain it. Then they tell you what they did, and they have no idea what the color is. It's just a giant mess. Like that's cool if you don't care. Like this is a rental property, don't matter. But you still gotta know what you're doing. Like you gotta understand what you were doing. But there is guys out there that'll tell you, oh yeah, no, they don't have a clue. I had a guy we worked with said he's owned a paint company for 10 years. I said, all right, cool. Well, we gotta caulk these exterior windows where the clad meets the trim. There's a water line that runs down the side of the window, but then there's a hard edge that we gotta caulk to. Don't caulk the part that the water runs through, you caulk the part that touches the wood. Common sense. And I gave him his caulk gun, and he's looking at this caulk gun like, I had no idea how to use it. Sitting in the paint company for 10 years. Said he don't like caulking because it gets on his hands. Yeah. Now, look at this, I'm trying to bring it in. this board right here is 2 boards out past all this trim. And there's a reason for it. I split that board. I'm gonna stop at this edge, not this one. Even if this gets in, like even if I get some on this, it's fine. Because when I put stain back at the top of it, it'll reactivate it. But this is gonna give me enough time to cut this out. See, look, I'm scrubbing it down in there. I'm scrubbing it down into the cracks. This wood right here is like super raw. Trying to record something with your phone. Seems like it's a giant bear all the time. I recorded like 20 minutes of my video last night of that lady getting drug out of her house, and I pushed play and I'm sitting there watching it. And they good. Go in the house after they done arrested her. Look at my video, then you push play. I do it all the time. When I do this, what I'm trying to do is get all the stain that's up here in the brush. I'm trying to get it to push itself down. You just don't want to flick it. Now when you tie this floor into that one, you notice when I brought this floor into this one, I just ran up to that edge of that piece of wood. So when I do this one, all I gotta do is hit this edge, and then it'll blend itself in. It cuts your cut line in half. Because what you don't want to do is get that over top of that, because it's just gonna make that darker. They're looking bumpy. Remember, you want to do at least 8 to 10 of those boards at a time. Just do one swipe, wipe it, one swipe, wipe it. It keeps you from, if I do all this floor, then do all this floor, by the time I tie into it, it'll be dry and we'll have flash marks everywhere. How do you eliminate the flash marks? Just doing it this way, one swipe at a time. You'll notice the areas that have stain already down, like the stain's still good, where it's got a stain in the silver still. This product will take that real easy. It's the dry spots that don't really take that well. But me personally, I like to get a decent little coat on them, like I'm doing right now. Let it sit there for a minute. Just take your time pushing it in other places. Let that sit there. And the reason why I say when you do these, try to keep it isolated by 10 boards, because you can only reach out so far. You don't want to stain this over here, and then staying clear back here, and you can't reach it. Because then you're gonna be standing in it, and it's gonna get everywhere. And get all the wheel under your clothes. I'm not trying to do all that. Now, say you want to do this floor, do you want to do it right? I would just strip this dude. I'd take it down to a fresh bare wood, like a fresh start. Sand the top layer down, get all this stuff out of here, and just lay down a whole new finish. This floor turned out phenomenal. But, like I said, this is a rental property. He might sell it, I don't know. But we gotta treat it as a rental property because that's what we get paid for. I think. As far as I know, there's probably vacation involved. And it ain't home. We gotta go on vacation. But hopefully these videos take off and I can get them monetized. That's my main goal, is get them monetized so these videos can start working for me instead of me working for the videos. Because right now I'm making all these videos and I'm not getting that out of it. Yeah, I'm helping everybody out, getting them all my tips and stuff like that, my tricks, and because it's my experience that I'm helping you guys with. And I got like I said, I've been doing this since I got out of high school and I'm in my 40s, so. And I got 22 years in working on million-dollar homes. I'll tell you, I made a video a while back talking about how I had to work on these homes now, which I'm grateful to be working. But it's hard to dumb yourself down and work on these houses when you do stuff by the book for 20 years. People think I'm slow. Yeah, I'm not the fastest anymore. I know what I'm doing. Like I got the background for it. That's what I was saying. I was supposed to be in another town right now. I was supposed to be in Greenville working on another job. Which I didn't know about until this morning. The guy texted me and asked me what time I was supposed to be there. I was kind of shocked he said something. But yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about. He's like, yeah, you scheduled in. But he's a contractor that does remodels on real nice homes. I've been in Park State area. About Park State Road was the last time I worked with him. But he does additions and stuff like that. But he's a pretty high-end carpenter. But he comes in and remodels homes like this and puts add-ons to them and makes them look like the original stuff. Like he'll put the same trim back in, he'll make it look like everything else on the other part of the houses and stuff like that. And that's where all the money starts getting. Like that's where you start getting into $1 million bills. Like having $1 million home is one thing, but adding $1 million contract to your house is another. So you got the level of paint just went from a $5,000 paint job to a $20,000 paint job, and that's just a few rooms. Because you got to go in there and do from start to finish. I mean, you got to go in there and do this stuff like we go in, get everything sealed up, ready to paint, then we paint it, and we patch it, prime it, sand it, patch it, prime it, sand it, and it's a lot of steps versus down here where it's just like paint it, sticks the caulking in it, paint it. Business cards and stuff together, so I can start taking my business cards out. I just wanted to do my own thing. I don't mind doing this kind I don't mind doing this kind of work. I just don't like it. I feel like I'm my business members. I feel like I'm not giving them quality work they want. I feel like quality work ain't there. Everybody's got their fingers in it, and I'm going to make it $200 a day. Like I said, that's my problem, not everybody else's, but I'm just saying, people don't realize this is part of being a painter. Like people think, oh, I want to be a professional painter. Like there's a professional painter, and then there's painters like this. Painters that paint like this, you can point them out from a mile away. So like me, I wear fresh whites. I talk with respect. I treat your house with respect. I sweep your house every day before I leave. My tool area is nice and clean. I treat your house with respect. It's a whole different mindset when you're dealing with $1 million homes like that versus homes like this where we treat them like it's a garage. This is the same work I would put in a garage. Treat every inch of this floor like it's the middle of the floor. See, the middle of the floor is what we call the main area. So no matter what you do, you gotta take good care of the middle floor. That's where you put most of your focus on it. Just like like any front door entries, that's the main area. So we focus on those areas more than we do a closet. We'll take the time out of the closet and focus on the main areas more. Because we'll clean that. Like when you walk in the door, that's your main area. So when you got company comes over and people like that come over, when they step in your house, they see your house is clean and that area is nice and cleaned up for you. Like that's stuff that people don't even take into consideration when it comes to painting a house. Most painters ain't never heard nothing like that. But that's actually a big deal. Front rooms, kitchen areas. Bedrooms are bedrooms. They got their own little thing. And I mean, say if you got kids that are never there, you can just have a splinter painted, that's one thing. But if you got kids that are there, we actually take good care of it. Like we go in there and clean them up, make them look fresh. Make sure there's no holes in the walls, nothing looks funny. Because you want to take pride in your house. I ain't never seen a homeowner not want to take pride in their house. I've seen homeowners fire guys because they didn't know what they just looked like they didn't know what they was doing. Have you ever had a homeowner say, does he even know what he's doing? And I'm like, yeah, he just started, he's learning the ropes. Like, that's the worst thing you can tell a homeowner. Because from that point on, now you got to repair that. When you start putting doubt in the homeowner's heart, like when you start putting doubt in the homeowner, they start looking at you a little different. And when you got a guy that don't know what he's doing and tells you what he does, he stands out like a sore thumb because he don't realize that the homeowner knows that what a painter can do. Because you see them paint their homes all the time. Repeated customers is a very frequently thing we do. We go back to repeated homes all the time, so they know what it takes to paint something. They see us come in, put plastic on stuff, tape stuff off, put tarps down, and they see all that. And then when you got this guy coming in here doing stuff that don't make no sense, they ask like, does he know what he's doing? And then you got to stick up for him. I hate doing that. But it's different. The guy wants to learn. If you hire a guy who wants to learn, that's different. But if you got a guy that tells you I've been doing this for 20 years and he don't know how to hold a fucking gun, then how do you explain that one? If you notice, I get a kick out of that. I would rather hear somebody say, if you ever try to get a job off of a guy that's running a business, be honest with him, because if you don't know how to do something, he won't ask you to do it. It's not. See, people that we work with, they get mad because there's things I can do that they can't. It's because they don't know how to do it. I do. And if we gotta go in there and do stuff, I can go in there and do it faster than they can, and it'll be done right. Where they need to learn how to do it. So they'll come in and start taping stuff off, and half of them don't know what tape, they don't understand the process of tape. And they get mad about it, and it's like, listen dude, I would rather hear you tell me that you don't know what you're doing, you've never done it before. I'll show you how to do it. That's the difference though, between somebody that says, I've been doing this for 20 years, I know how to do everything. I'd rather hear you say, I don't know what I'm doing, I've never done this before. Cool, I can show you. This is how you do it. This is why we do it. The why is more important than what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't understand it. Then you can't get fast at it. But if you tell people that you know how to do this stuff, they're going to expect you to do it as soon as they say, hey, go down there and get the windows ready for paint. Well, you got to be able to go down there and make a judgment call on that window. Walk up to it, look at it, what's it need? And if you don't understand the basics of what this screw runs like, you're just wasting everybody's time. So tell them like, this is how I used to do it, this is how you do it. Or, I've never done it before. Then I'll stop what I'm doing and show them how to do it. Don't just tell them, I've been doing this for 20 years, I know what I'm doing. When you've really been hanging drywall for 20 years, or you've really been doing asphalt for 20 years. Like, I would never hire a guy that's did asphalt for 20 years to come in and help me paint. Now, if I want to get a sidewalk built, that's what I'm going to. It blows my mind that people do this stuff. And all they're doing is lying to people. Especially when I tell them to go down there and get something done, and they do something stupid, and it's like, and I gotta pull it all back off, or I gotta take it, or I gotta fix it, because it didn't cut it right, because yeah. Because no matter what, it falls back on either me or the guy that is running the job. Even though you tell me that you know how to do it, I want to trust you to do it. But when I go back and double check your work and it looks lumpy, I got to fix it. Because if I don't fix it, my boss is going to tell me, well, why didn't you fix it? Because he said he did it for 10 years. What am I doing? Like, I already got that. Don't get mad if somebody fixes your stuff. It's a team. if somebody come behind me, I was like, oh, you forgot this, and hit it, I tell them thank you. But some people don't think like that. Some people think that, I already did that, what are you doing? You're not seeing that, that's why I'm fixing it. That's how my old boss was. He had a guy, he was an older guy. And for some reason, I think this dude's got blackmail over him or something, I don't know. But he steals hours from him all the time and like he just won't fire him. But my boss was like, hey, I need you to get down here to so-and-so's house to get all of this guy's tools out of their house because she fired him. She wanted to see him off the job. He said that the homeowner said that he creeped her out. He keeps following around the house talking to her. So I went down there, took all the tools out, stuck in the back of the boss's car, and he left. 2 months later, me and that dude had a falling out on a job, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. I worked the weekend and he didn't know about it. And he told my boss whatever he told him, and I've been working with my brother ever since. But he said that because I worked the weekend and didn't tell him. And then people wonder why they can't keep painters. When you got one guy like that destroys a crew, you're never gonna have a good paint company. And we all rely on each other to get these jobs done. If I can't trust you to come in and work with me and give me a good quality, and give me a good day's work, then we're wasting everybody's time. But some people just need to be kicked off the job and never brought back. If you get fired from a house, that's a problem. If a homeowner calls your boss and says, hey, you need to get this guy out of here because he creeps me out, that's a problem. And if that dude ever sees this video, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's a tight-knit group, especially in Ohio. We all know each other. If we don't know of each other, we further each other. You ever woke up and felt like an old tennis shoe? Golly. There gotta be an easier way to on this. Wednesdays, I'm gonna have a house and a farm. I want some horses. That's what I want. But that's a fantasy, I guess. this section, and then I want to do this section. See how it took this stain real well? Because it's already got silver over it. That's what I was saying. The dry spots, you gotta kind of work with a little bit, but the stuff that's already got sealer on it, I mean, you can just take a wet rag and wipe over it. Because all you want to do is all you want to do is get it wet. That little bit of wetness that you're getting wet with is plenty of protection for what we're going to do next. We're just locking this stuff down so we can put something on top of it. If you're working on any other projects, I got a bunch of videos on here now. I've been doing it for about the past 6 months or so. So, if you're working on a different part of your project and you want to know how to do it, there's a good chance there's something on there for you. I tried to put a video of something I ain't did yet. That's why I'm doing this floor, because it's a floor I haven't done yet. Normally we sand them down and then stain them and do the 3-step process, but this one here is different than them other ones. That's why I'm doing a video on it. And just like anything with the phone, don't try to strip it and cracks. I worry whenever you got a floor that's this bad, your cracks, by the time you get done stripping your cracks, the rest of it should get a good filling too. But just worry about the cracks as you're working on it. And then you flatten the top. right here for my cut line, and it's on the window, so I do it on the other side too. This crack right here is a good example of why we scrub these floors, why we scrub the stain into the floors. We want to fill this up with stain so it gets it black again. Because if not, every time you go down between them cracks, you will see dirt. That's what I was talking about. See how this thing's pushed down in here? Down in the cracks? You want to fill that crack up with stain. And then top it off. Is that right there? That's one of the main things you want to worry about when you're doing these floors, is making sure that you get all the raw. Because if you get a skipper in it, you can't just touch it. I mean, you can just touch it up, but there's a process in it. That's just a whole other thing. But if you can, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, I'm doing something different every day. Just about. But for the most part, hit that subscribe button because I'm trying to grow my channel. It's totally free, so leave a comment, let me know what you think, and hit that like button because YouTube likes it. And I love you and God bless. See, you want a bigger border. Get it nice and cut out. That way you got something to run into. And then this is what it looks like when it dries. Now, just remember, we gotta put a finish over top of this so all these dull marks will go away. It'll look like that right there. Those dull marks will look like that. But it's just one of those things, you gotta know what level you're in, like where the stain's at, and start from there. You gotta figure out what color it is, match it, and then start applying stuff to that. Like you gotta know what you're doing to mess with stain. Like, I'm not saying it just to say it. Like, it's tough. And there's 100 different stain colors out there, so all we can really do is get in a ballpark of what's already down, and then we'll start working with that. And sometimes it's easier just to change the color. Like, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes homeowners are fine with that. Sometimes they're like, nope, I want it to match. So that comes at a whole different price. So just remember, if you got a hardwood floor and you got a stain problem like this, it's easier just to come in. It's easier to come in, strip the floor, and start new. because if I come in here and touch this up, I gotta do all this by hand, and I gotta do it by eye, so it starts to match. It'll take me a day to do it. That's if I got everything. Like, it'll take me a day to get it ready, and then at least a day to stain it. Then you gotta wait a couple days for it to walk on. But it's one of those things. It's a few day process. So like the upstairs and this first floor is done for a while. So you can't.